Well, hello there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
Ladies, can you believe that we're about to close out 2024?
I don't know how to feel about it, like I said, because I feel like this year went
right.
Some years it's like it crawls by, like this one just kind of went really quick. So
yeah, I feel like we were just talking about school, coming back to school and summer break and all that stuff.
I know. And then here we are with our annual holiday episodes, our Q&A, which we love because you get to ask us the questions, what you want to know, some different thoughts. Just a reminder that we don't work for Weight Watchers. We are not health professionals. Honestly, if you just listen to one episode, you're pretty much going to gather we don't know what we're doing, but
we don't have any behind the scenes info, guys.
No.
Well, I wish we did.
We are professionals at weight yo-yoing. So
we have our PhD.
Right.
We've been overanalyzing our weight loss journey.
Child prodigies here.
A lot of research behind our over-analytical thinking. That's how we get kicked out of places, like I said. So we create platforms so that we can just continue to overanalyze. You're welcome.
So much so. All right. Well, let's just dive into questions. Let's get to getting then on it.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. Our first one comes to us from Christine in New York. And she says, "Hi, Candice, Rikki, and Erin. My name is Christine. I'm from New York, and I'm a longtime listener of this amazing podcast. I believe practically since the beginning."
Oh, thanks.
You are an OG. We appreciate you. Thank you.
OG, look at that. I love you all and look forward to Saturdays to walk and hear from you all. I wanted to text this into you guys and not sure if this is a diet issue, a depression issue, or both, but I have been in such a rut. I find that my routine is I will get excited to start out on new habits, and my why is crystal clear. I do all the next right things, which include the meal prep, the tracking food, getting my workout steps in, seeing an initial weight loss. Then something happens and I am completely derailed. I've been quite upset, just wanting to be in bed. Like Rikki, I'm a teacher and I called out today and I have been in bed the entire day. I ate Uber Eats in bed. I have accomplished nothing. I feel worse and like this is my pattern. I'm annoyed at myself, but at the same time, how do I recognize if this is me taking care of myself by giving myself a day, or that I have an awful emotional eating problem? My guess is it's a bit of both, but I've been seeing a rheumatologist, which is stressing me out. And instead of choosing healthier habits, I'm in a pattern of self-sabotage. How do I get out of the quicksand, as I call it, and actually create healthy habits that last? Any advice would be so appreciated. Love y'all so much. You've gotten me through some hard things, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Christine. All right. So I hear two questions in here. The first question is, how do I know if this is me taking care of myself by giving myself a day, or that I have an awful emotional eating problem, and how do I get out of the quicksand, as I call it, and create a healthy habits that last?
Well, those are some heavy questions, and Christine, we just appreciate your honesty and sharing that with us. I mean, as we've mentioned, we're not experts, so we can't formally say this is an emotional eating problem or not. But I know for me, I feel like I can relate to a lot of those patterns, especially being a teacher like you. So I think one of the things that I identify in myself as an unhealthy eating pattern is if, I think about the things that would make me know that I'm eating in a healthier way, and I would continually make the choice to eat the fast food. For me, it's a lot of times fast food, or eat a lot of candy or sweets or things like that, and I'm also not tracking it. So I think for me, I can identify that pattern by kind of the hiding, the running away from accountability, those patterns of just consistently ordering out or consistently eating, more candy than I could track or want to track. So I think those consistently off track behaviors are an indicator to me when I feel like I am engaging in an unhealthy eating pattern. But I think that taking the day off is a step in the right direction, though. I think acknowledging, especially in that field, like I tend to help others and put my, others before myself. So I think taking a day off is an indication of an initial like healthy choice.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rikki, you hit it on the head. That's something I was going to say. I relate again to everything that you shared. I think we all have expressed something, to that sentiment at some point in our journey or felt that. For me, it's really is. It's asking myself, because no, I'm not you. None of us are. You only know what motivates you to do or not do something. So when I am analyzing my own behavior, I'm looking at what is it that I'm either trying to avoid or trying to reconcile with. Like, usually when I'm off track, it's because I might feel confined by the program, and I don't want to, like you said, either be accountable. I don't want to track. I don't want to do those things. And I know that's the motivation of me wanting to put things off. So that's not helpful for me when I have to kind of have that conversation with myself. That's uncomfortable to say. Sometimes we have to be a grown up, and sometimes we have to own that we're doing something that isn't to our benefit. And why do I feel the need to, in a way, disrespect myself? What is it that I'm getting from that? And it's not an easy conversation, but it's only one that I could have with me, because I'm usually triggered by others trying to have it for me or telling me, even if it was my therapist. I'm like, that's not really what I mean, but I know when I'm kind of full of it. So I would encourage you to do, I'm a journaler. And there was a coach, because I do go to the meetings, and she asked people, there was someone who had expressed what you said during one of the meetings. And she said, well, why don't you write down what it is that's going on in your mind right now? What are the things that are causing you to have stress? What are the things that you feel like you're running from? What are the things what's going on up here? And just a brain dump could really help you kind of look at that. I think that's been helpful for me. It's just getting it out on paper, because in my mind, it can be jumbled up. But once I do recognize that it's something that I'm doing to sabotage, I then think that it's just a tough love moment of you're going to have to stop doing it and get into the pattern of being uncomfortable with pushing past that, because I think we get in a pattern of just being off track. And I've been there, and it's hard. It's really hard whether it's because of sugar or whatever, it's hard to break it once you're in that off cycle pattern. So I don't have the tool to tell you exactly what to do, but I know journaling your words, not just your food, journaling your thoughts really helps me to really kind of to balance myself.
Yeah. It's especially, Christine, as I'm hearing what you're saying too, I think even just looking at your rest day, a rest day is meant to refresh you.
Right.
And so if you're coming to the end of it and you're feeling shame, you're feeling guilt, and you want to continue to pull the covers over your head, I would say let's look at the actions that led us to feeling more this way. And let's start tackling those actions, because we have the same day and we can spend it two different ways. And you're worth your rest day being something that actually is restful for you. And I know sometimes that is a hard hurdle in our heads to, right? When you have the rest, when you're already dealing with the shame, it's like, all I want to do is just go put this cover over my head. It's the hard thing to go, hey, today I'm going to go for a walk in the sunshine. I'm going to do 10 minutes. I'm just going to do 10 minutes in the sunshine. It can be a hard thing to go, I'm just going to drink water today. It can be a hard thing to go, I'm going to delete the Uber Eats app from my phone, because I know that it doesn't lead me to making good choices for my health right now. It doesn't mean Uber Eats has to go away for a while, but I know that I'm vulnerable in this season. And there are times for me where I have to treat myself truthfully, like I'm an addict. Right? I mean, food addiction is a very real thing. And there are there are real triggers. And Candice, I know you can speak even more directly to that, having been an advocate in the court system around this, but we don't, food is the one thing that we have to eat every single day and that you can't give up. And if you have an addiction to that, that is a very strong and hard thing to have to overcome. And go ahead, Candice, because I can see, I know you're ready.
But you're just so right. And one of the things that we used to teach are kind of the people who were licensed, you know, the people who actually could tell them, but they would say, we need to redefine success during this time.
Yes.
If you're defining success as I'm making all the right choices all the time for the day, because that's what I'm hearing you say, like, oh, I would do all these things and then I fell off and then I was horrible, as opposed to, okay, 80% of the day, like you said, I went for a walk. I tracked my breakfast. Lunch, went over, ate Uber Eats. Okay, dinner, ate it at home. Maybe that's a successful day.
Yeah.
If you define success as I made absolutely the right decision at every single meal all the time.
That perfection, man.
That perfection, that's me. Then that's really, really, really unattainable sometimes, especially at the beginning. And if we move that ladder down, if you're trying to climb the ladder to get up there and you move the rings a little closer together, then maybe how you're viewing it will allow you to move forward as opposed to being all or nothing. So I think that's important.
I would even add to shift along with that, shift the thoughtscape of, I think this is something that we've all done. And this is something that the three of us now, a new pattern for the three of us, we've been strong starters and poor finishers. Right? Like we start the program strong.
Takes one to know one.
Right? Right. And then, you know, and then you start to peter off because you're riding the high of motivation, and motivation doesn't last. And so you need a foundation underneath of that. And so maybe that's something also for you to look at, Christine, is when motivation is gone, what's keeping me doing this? And it's looking at actually the finishing. We're putting more weight and more importance on the finishing. And when we're doing that, we're actually creating the healthy habits that we need to continue through. And I will say that is still costly, because to have that healthy habit means I'm just probably not going to choose to eat this food anymore. So for me, I don't have bags of chips. Guys, I haven't had chips because I've talked about me and those Utz barbecue chips. I have not had any type of chip or snack in my house for the past 3 months. Because I know I can do all the things. I could bring a bag in. I'm going to individually portion all of it. No, it doesn't happen. And for me, full abstinence is my solution. And I have had more success because I've cut that one thing out of my life. And it hurt, but I was like, it hurts more not to have the best version of myself, because I don't want to keep living in that merry-go-round. I pull the brake on it. I'm done. I'm out. I'm not doing that anymore.
And I love what you were saying, Candice, about writing things down too, just thinking about that day off and how you can reshape it into something that you already have a plan for that's functional, whether it is, I'm going to take a nap, you know, or I'm going to sleep in until 10 o'clock and then I'm going to go for a walk. And like, I like the idea of either putting that in my agenda or writing it in your journal, like having a list too of things that you like to do that don't involve food. So sometimes that can be something that costs money, like going to get a facial or, you know, buying a new t-shirt. But sometimes it could be like, I'm going to meet my friend and go for a walk, or I'm going to call someone and talk to them who's, you know, also free during the day. Like a list of things that can be done during that day off if you truly do need to take that day for yourself, and make it things that don't involve food.
Yeah. And lastly, and then I'm sure our whole episode will be just this question, but I also want to remind ourselves and you that there's no end. And I think even to Erin's point, we may start strong, but is there really a finish? So when you're thinking about the fact that maybe in this season, you may have indulged a little bit more Erin says she doesn't eat the Utz chips right now, and that's what's working for her. But if you were to have a day that somehow the Utz came in, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's for life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you always have an opportunity to say, okay, this season kind of got off track. It got wonky. I went back. I thought I could handle it. Now I can't. I reminded myself that Utz doesn't work for me, even in small portions. And I forgive myself for the slip because it's for life. And now I can just kind of, it's easier said than done, but that's really the truth. Like if you were to suddenly tomorrow with all that knowledge, eat the Utz chips, that doesn't somehow negate the fact that you, for a period of time, didn't. And it doesn't mean that you can't just as quickly say, oops, got it. Let's move on.
Yep. Guys, I just also want to let you know that I have an Utz man at my disposal, and I'm not joking about this. And he showed up this week with 4 cases of all of the holiday Utz.
I was thinking like love connection, because she was like, I have an Utz man. I was like, Erin.
Listen, I'm not going to deny that.
Dangerous. That's dangerous, though. That's
very
love.
When I tell you how hard it is to give up Utz, I got a Utz man who's delivering cases of Utz to me. I'm not playing.
I'm gonna have to tell David that I need an Utz man. But
yes, me too.
No,
that's right. No, I got an Utz man on the side.
You need David to change his job to become an Utz man.
Yeah,
that's right. Wrong deliveries, David. Okay, this comes from August in California. I have been recently struggling with weight loss plateaus. I've been staying in my point range and getting plenty of activity. What are some things you do to get yourself out of a plateau?
I stop eating all the same things, because usually for me, it means I'm eating the exact same things at the exact same times with the exact same exercise. And my body is pretty smart.
Yep.
So if I switch up something, usually my body's like, what are you doing? Like, even if I vary the points that I have throughout the day, throughout the week, like, because sometimes you get in a rut where you're like, I'm eating this many points every single day.
Yep.
I would say switch it up.
Yep.
Much as you can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same thing. Switch it up. It also sounds like maybe like I was kind of I was in a plateau as well, and was not challenging myself enough in my exercise. And so maybe the exercise for you needs to change. Maybe you actually if you're doing weightlifting, maybe you need to increase weight. Maybe you need to look at doing different exercises. Maybe you need to switch to a completely different exercise for a week and, try something like a Pilates, which is very, core strength. That's a whole different ball game. Same thing. Food. It's like everything's just got to be turned upside down. Try it for a week. Don't have to commit to it. Just try it for a week. See what happens. That's generally.
And you know what Erin said recently? I mean, we were having a chat kind of offline, but Erin, I think you had shared that you found that sometimes you weren't eating enough. And that can also, you'd be surprised. Like you may be following the plan exactly, but it could be that in your obedience to the plan, that maybe you need a little more food. Maybe you need to eat more of those weeklies. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And even maybe considered, if you aren't already doing this, considered a double track, because what I found out is when I was doing the plan exactly, but the way that I was exactly doing the plan, I was only getting about 1,000 calories a day, which was leading me really to struggle with food. And I'm like, how is it possible that I'm following the plan and I'm still hungry? So something's off. But I realized, oh, well, I'm only getting 1,000 calories a day. So, and then another day I'm following the plan and I'm getting 1,600 calories a day. So really understanding the calorie makeup and that's a pretty wild swing. So it's information. Doesn't mean anything's necessarily wrong. You're just information gathering right now. So, and of course, check with a dietitian.
Rikki, what did you say?
I think for me, it's going back to the basics, but specifically, I think I tend to not always be aware of how much salt I'm intaking. And I think a lot of times we know that can have a huge impact on retaining fluid. So and also balancing that, I don't drink enough water. It is a consistent problem. And yeah, exactly. Like I got my water next to me, and
Mine's
I always I got both, but I'm still not drinking the water yet. And it's like it's right next to me half the
Double
time.
fisting here today.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times it's a matter of me buckling down and saying, I'm gonna like you said, Candice, I'm gonna change something. I'm gonna change it up because if I can make that one change and not changing everything at once, but start with like I know my salt intake has not been great. So I'm gonna like really intentionally have that second glass of water and set it. And again, incrementally, it doesn't have to be that I'm drinking like twice as much water as I was the day before, but I can have an extra glass and work towards that goal.
Yeah, great. Okay, we've got Diane in Illinois, and she says, when you just can't get back on track, what are the first steps you take to get on program again?
I get on the bike. I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago. That's my anchor.
Mm.
My next right thing, like I say, do the next right thing is movement. And it somehow shifts me mentally and physically. Like getting a good sweat in just kind of is that, plus water is usually a very good starting point for me. And then followed by eating something at home, cooking a meal at home, because usually I may have gotten away from that habit or that as a practice, but having food at home is key for me. So I would say get some movement, drink some water, make a meal, find a recipe, make a meal.
Yeah.
That's me.
Mine is just tracking. It's because that's usually the thing that has gone when I'm off track. So it's getting back to tracking. And if I need to, sharing my tracker, being accountable in that way and saying, I'm going to do this. Here, I did it.
I'm going to add like a kind of a different layer to that is I think we sometimes convince ourselves that eating well isn't fun. And it can be deprivation, like eating healthy, eating the good foods that fill our cells with good things, and that we won't see the payoffs now, but we'll see payoffs 10 years down the line when our skin is still elastic and great, right? Like it's that delayed gratification. This thing is hitting our taste buds now and it feels amazing. And then I eat this and it doesn't feel as amazing, but that's just having a different impact. So maybe there's also for us some thought changes in getting back on program feels like punishment.
Right.
When we say that, like, and I get back on program when I'm back on the thing, when I'm back, like it's this thing that I get on and off. And maybe if we start eliminating some of that language, that it's not a thing that you get on or off, right? This is lifestyle. And what do I want my lifestyle to be? And a healthy lifestyle looks like this. And a healthy lifestyle isn't perfection, and it isn't all salads and grilled fish. It includes cheesecake on occasion, right? At the birthday cake. It includes this whole rainbow of foods. That's incredible. And sometimes that means cooking with cream in a pasta sauce.
That's why I said you have to find when I said, and 100% agree with everything you said, because I think it's important that whatever recipe you find, think of your good friend Erin over here. Make a goat cheese cherry popsicle, and use real goat cheese and put a little real sugar in it. And you know what I mean? And count it and say, this is allowed on plan. Because I do think that we think of, Erin, I think that's a major point, that there are things I do when I'm on plan and things I do when I'm off, or things because this is healthy and this is not. So if I want the lobster mac and cheese, well, I shouldn't be on Weight Watchers today for it because it's 50 points instead of it being, I'm just going to count it. And even if I'm over,
And 50 points for lobster mac and cheese versus 150 because you denied yourself and you just started eating little things through the cabinet all week long because you were mad that you can't have the lobster mac and cheese when you can. So it's some of that I think can also be mind shift as along with those very practical things like, hey, what are the pillars? What are the WW pillars? The exercise, sleep, tracking, water.
And being willing to be honest and say, I'm not excited to have 0-point vegetable soup. So when someone's like, you know what you could do to get back on track? Just make a really hearty bowl of some 0 points. You're like, that is what I mean. I don't want tuna in 0 point. Yes, I will eat it. I understand it's health, but maybe just find something that excites you.
Right.
And
not
say,
when you've been having donuts. Right? Like there's also, and reminder too, like there's that physiological thing too. If we've been all of the fast food, they put things in there to trick your brain to want more of it. The more sugar acts as a dopamine in our brain. Like there's also chemical things too. So you kind of have to, I hate the word detox, but you're trying to now switch all of those chemicals over to this other spot. And that's why there's always so much of this yo-yo back and forth because we're going back
cravings,
the drugs, if you will.
Yeah.
And also celery. That's what I do too. I eat celery. I always said when I'm serious, I'm eating celery.
Okay. It sounds like a punishment to me, but one person
black cherry popsicles, and she's like, celery will do it.
That's my trick to my brain. Like that's me telling my brain, we ain't messing around no more. When I pull the celery out, my brain cells start to quiver.
Rice cake. Let's put out those rice cakes, okay?
All right, Jennifer in North Carolina. Have you dealt with this feeling? Jennifer, yes. I don't even know what you're about to ask, but it's a yes. I've been doing WW since April. I'm down about 20 pounds. Okay, hold on, pause and celebrate. Yes. I've been so happy, feeling great. I've never been so focused on my health. It's been amazing. Lately, I'm struggling with some self-doubt. I've yo-yoed in the past and I always gain it back. I feel like this time is different, but I haven't lost anything since August. I went on vacation in late September and allowed myself to enjoy all the foods. I've been back on the plan since then, but not as strict, if I'm being honest. I'm not as focused. I keep saying I'm going to get off another 15 pounds, but today I'm freaking out. I'm scared I'm going to blow it. And I think the fact that I'm scared of losing my progress means that I'm going to. But today was a day of overeating. And right now I am just scared of going backwards instead of moving forward. Whoa.
Gosh, I know we all can relate to that.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
I think it's so great that you're acknowledging those patterns and acknowledging those fears, because I think ignoring it doesn't help, and knowing that you have a pattern in the past of backsliding or whatever you want to call it. So I think the first thing is just acknowledging that has happened, but I think the fear is not helpful. And I know for me, if I have that type of fear, it becomes a focus, and I need my focus to be on, like you were saying, the future and not the past. So I think taking things day by day and saying, what am I doing today? What habits helped me this summer, or this spring that I was able to lose weight? What helped me in that season to lose weight, and what can I do now to bring those things back? Because what you were doing then worked, but at the same time, it's a new season. We're going into the holidays, or we were past the holidays and we're going into New Year's. Like we're really focused on, celebrating and spending time with friends, maybe having time off work. So, some of the things that worked in April may apply now, but it might be, hey, it's the holidays. I want to have this one thing. I'm going to track it. And the tracking is the thing that continues, and not necessarily the same exact foods or the same exact exercise. because things change with the seasons.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just makes me think of the quote, which wolf wins, the one you feed. And mentally, whether you know it or not, you continuing to focus on the what ifs that are kind of negative. Like you said, it's great that you acknowledge it, but if the pattern in your head is, when am I about to mess this up? Oh, it's about to be it. I knew it. This is this time. It's like that's what you're unconsciously feeding, as opposed to doing great. Glad I had my water today, or the things that you want to actually have happen are really what we kind of need to focus on a little bit more. And I'm saying that as somebody who has been you and understand that it's hard to do that sometimes because we're so focused on, we think it's protection to kind of ruminate on the what ifs that can be negative. And as a cancer survivor, that's something I had to get over. Like, well, what if? But what if in a positive? We don't really give enough credence to the possibility that it could be a good thing that happens. What if this time is it? What if this time I have enough tools? I trust myself that I know how to make decisions. Even if I have some stumbling blocks, I know that perfection isn't required and I'm doing well. It takes practice and it takes intentionality. But I think once you start to see yourself going into that loop, really asking yourself, how is that serving me? And for every negative thought, can you counter it with at least one positive? Make that your requirement. If I'm going to think of what could happen that's negative, I have to give equal time and effort to a positive outcome that could happen. What if this time really is it? Look at what I'm doing. It's amazing. That feels better. I don't know. For me, that feels better.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with that. I was just thinking that it's kind of, there's that old adage of, when you're sitting in the car, the rear view mirror is small and the windshield is large, because that's the direction you're going in. And so let's not magnify what's in the rear view mirror. Let's magnify what's in front of us, because that's the direction that we're going in. And patterns can be broken at any time. You are not a slave to your past, and you can help create your future. So if that was your pattern, and we've all said, like, our pattern has been, we've said it earlier, strong starters and poor finishers, right? But our new pattern is strong finishers. That's our new pattern. And we're acknowledging, I think like Rikki or Candice, one of you said, like, the fear part, we're not going to, it's great to acknowledge, because that's the first start of pulling this, pulling things out of hiding, is just to put it up in front of us. Like, this is the truth, and that's okay. And now this is also true, that I'm going to course correct here and go this way.
Right. Because I'm not a victim.
Right.
I'm not a victim. I have, and I think that's owning your power. This is not something that's happening to me where there's no control. I have the ability to make choices that make me proud. And this is how I'm going to do it, and I want to show it. And it's atomic habits, right? You're casting a vote for who you want to be. And it doesn't really matter how many votes were over here, that this is who I am now. And I was a person who didn't finish strong in the past, but that's not me now. So
that's been my motivation, that I'm going to finish strong now, moving forward. But again, it's looking forward. Sometimes we're more scared of the past than we are of not accomplishing the future. And so it's just kind of changing that view for ourselves.
You can't tell me what to do, old me.
Right? Yes. And maybe somebody needs to write that down in their journal.
There's a new person in town. Okay.
Yes. I make the decisions now.
I make the decisions in here. What do you think this is? Like, get all annoyed. Okay.
All right. Our final question comes from Terry in California. How can I just normalize this journey? What can I do different? My mom started me going to Weight Watchers when I was 12. I'm now 65 and still have not reached goal. Honestly, I'm afraid to leave WW because that's all I really know, but I need to do something. Mindset change is needed big time.
Oh.
You know what I love is what Erin said it a few questions ago. There's no on and off this bus. There's no on and off the cart. Like, I think that's a big point. We have to redefine being on and off program. And Is goal if goal is your point, this is life. This is for life. There's never an end. And if this is the program you've chosen for your life, I think it's taking that mindset shift. You're just going to have to decide that the goal is to get to the end of your life as healthy as you can be with whatever tools that you have. I mean, I understand wanting to hit the number, but I think that's maybe what's tripping you up is this. It has to be that I'm off or on, and I just can't get it together. This is a forever thing.
Yeah. And I think if you do make the decision to do a different program or not be with WW, I think that's okay too. Like allowing yourself to say, it's okay if I do something else, but I think it should be solid. Like I'm not going to just leave WW without a plan. I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use something that's data driven or something that's, that my doctor has recommended or whatever it is. But I think the history with WW is scary. It's like, that you've been in this program forever and that it does work. When like our friend Fran used to say, when you really do it, it really works. But there's times where, I mean, again, with us being serial, yo-yoers here, like we know that there's times where it's not working, but it's because I know for me, it's not working because I'm not really working it all the time. So I think being honest with myself about why I have been stalling in my personal progress over the years, and then making that decision. If I need something fresh and new, what is that going to be? And what is my plan to be successful in that before I decide to make a drastic change?
Yeah. Terry, the other thing that I would ask you is, so your mom put you in Weight Watchers at 12. You've been battling all along. You've probably gained and lost pounds like the rest of us. And you're 65 now. So what? And I mean that not negatively, but I mean that as you're 65 now. What is that going to do for you at 66? I think it's that rear view mirror thing again for us, that we keep looking back at all of our failed attempts and we keep heaping failure on top of ourselves. And if you're looking at 66, the question I would ask you is, who do I want to be at 66? Not the, I just don't want to be dealing with this anymore. I want this to end, right? The question is, at 66, when you think about the best version of yourself, who is she? Is she active? Is she just able to go up and down flights of steps with ease? Is she able to sit down at Thanksgiving and not ruminate about all of the food options that are there and how you're going to gain weight this week? And then that tells you, okay, then I'm going to make plans to address that. And my plan for walking up the stairs is I'm going to start with a walk every day, and I'm going to be consistent with that. And then I'm going to go to the mall and I'm going to walk up and down the steps at the mall because it's inside and there's AC and there's heat, and that's more comfortable than trying to do that outside, right? You're starting to make those little steps, and we're not worried about what was. We're looking at right now at what is and what will be, because at 65, you're looking at mobility, right? You're looking at making sure that all of your muscles stay limber, and you're going to be the best version of yourself at 70. I look at my mom every night, she's only exercise 30 minutes and she does her stretches. And I'm like, okay, that's what I want to do when I'm 70, because she's up and moving. And then I look at another 70-year-old who hasn't taken care of her health, and I think, wow, it's just two different mindsets.
Yep.
It's just two different mindsets. So who do you want to be at 66? Who do you want to be at 70? And who do you want to be at 75? And you get to create that. And it's no longer about what was in the past with WW and Candice, to your point, the goal, getting to goal. That's, yeah. What do you want to be? What is your goal, not WW's goal?
And change is beautiful. Don't make any decision out of fear, or don't not do something out of fear. If you decide you want to try something new, I don't care what it is. It doesn't have to be related to your Weight Watchers or something else, but I think it's just embracing that you are the captain of your own ship, and it doesn't really matter what other people think or don't think. I know what your mother put you in when you were younger, but you are fully able to embrace new opportunities or to stay right where you are. All of it is okay. And I think that taking that pressure off of yourself, that if you were to decide to embrace different aspects of the journey that you may not have in the past, that is something that really may bring you some good things, because we know a lot of people, especially in our community, who have embraced new ways of approaching the plan or new ways of approaching things as they've moved on in their lives and hit different milestones. I think that should be celebrated more, instead of it just being, oh, well, we just got to make it work in the confines of what we know.
Mm-hmm.
We are individuals and we all need different things. And I think that I hope you allow yourself that grace to say, if you do find something that you do want to try, do it. Why not? As long as you're not doing it from a place of fear, running, or trying to control something in an unhealthy way. Like, well, this isn't working, so now I'm going to try this diet that's restricted. It's more, is this really something that I'm excited about, that I'm curious about? Okay.
Am I doing this a year from now?
Exactly.
Am I doing this a year from now, or am I only doing this to course correct from something from the past?
Yep.
And then you'll know if it's a
okay.
lasting habit or not.
Because it's your life. Right? It's not us. Anyone who has an opinion, we don't have to live your life. It's you.
Yeah. Yeah. Go get it. It's a good life out there worth to be lived.
Carpe diem.
Yes. All right. Well, that brings part 1 of our Q&As to an end. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. I mean, these have been some pretty great questions.
Yes.
I feel like a final exam for the year. Like,
I know. Gosh, this is awesome. Thank you all so much, for spending this entire year with us and still having more things that we can always discuss. This is what we love to do. So part 2 is coming out next week, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.